Atomfall is pretty much an immersive simulator set in 1962 northern England. The wind-scale plant incident is the real-life inspiration for this story of mystery, deceit, and even a little bit of madness. At default, it is punishingly difficult, and it rewards patience and forethought. This isn't really a Fallout in England, it's a survivally crafting shooter with a focus on detective work, and it's pretty damn good. A few storytelling foibles held back my enjoyment, but let's see if it's worth checking out for you, as this is a Day One Xbox Game Pass launch. It's the XboxEra review of Atomfall. You wake up in a bunker outside of the plant with no memory of who you are, as a man in a yellow hazmat suit is bleeding to death but trying to help you escape. And here is your first choice. Do you help him by crafting a bandage and handing it over, or leave him to his own devices, or maybe you even just punch him in the face and kill him? Those types of choices are the soul of Atomfall. The game is played from the first-person perspective and features plenty of melee combat and shooting if you so choose. Often, though, you are encouraged to avoid violence whenever possible, as the game recommends the second hardest difficulty with little to no exploration, survival, or guidance by default. The maps in the game aren't huge, which is good because there's no fast travel, and you will crisscross them dozens of times to complete the game's various quests. I played through on hard as the game intended, with no waypoints to guide me and only a few shots or hits being enough to kill me. As I tried to figure out what was going on and deciding how I wanted to react, I found an ambitious game with some obvious themes. Atomfall isn't some big AAA production, and with only a handful of maps, it kinda felt small at first. I completed things in roughly 20 hours, seeing 3 of the 4 endings I could find a path towards. You can set the game to easier settings for combat, exploration, and survival, but I would not recommend it. That sense of terrifying dread as a group of 6 outlaws walks by is palpable. When I put it on easy for a few minutes, I could just kinda take them all out by running up and fisting them in unison. I'd fully recommend keeping it on hard and dedicating your hearts to learning the game's mechanics if you want the most out of the title. Atomfall starts off with just your dukes and eventually a cricket bat and other stuff. I did avoid combat for a bit, searching my surroundings while staying crouched and utilizing tall grass to hide. The game's stealth mechanics are pretty rudimentary, relying on line of sight or using your nameless character's innate ninja skills inside of the brush. Despite claims otherwise, I eventually found a lot of guns and plenty of ammo. The majority of my playthrough was on PC, as Xbox code was only available a few days before the embargo. On hard, headshots were still a one-shot kill from mid to close range, using various handguns, shotguns, rifles, bows, and SMGs that are on offer. The survival crafting part of Atomfall comes in the way of its recipes, which require various items you've picked up to put together. Some of those recipes are hidden behind quests, others behind skill upgrades, and most are just found out in the world. As you craft various elixirs, grenades, and eventually even stronger guns, it all became second nature. There's also a bartering system instead of a currency one, and I found it easy to just get what I wanted with it. As long as you have, say, a recipe you've already learned and a few other things, you can get most items that a vendor has. While the UI isn't super slick, its utilitarian design works well on a mouse and keyboard and decently enough on controller. One thing I could never find a way of was to craft ammunition, though even after scouring the map, I still did have multiple skill books that I had not uncovered yet. Those books are also a mix of quest rewards or can just be found out in the world. To unlock specific skills, like say deeper pockets so you can carry more ammo and stuff, or better gun control, you're going to need to find skill stimulants, which are also scattered everywhere. You get a lot of them from side quests too, and they're routinely the best reward to get from them. Early on, I found a stealth skill book and made sure to take the quieter movement first, as I found it to still be, by the end of the game, my very favorite skill. Just makes it so you can kind of run around and not be heard until you are right on top of someone. Because you are going to want to sneak around as often as possible early on when ammo is limited. There's food to eat, bandages to craft, and medkits to find to help heal up your wounds. Also, there's no durability, nor is there any armor, so you don't have to worry about anything breaking, though you never get stronger outside of your skills that give passive buffs, alongside the painkillers, which will make it so you take a hell of a lot less melee damage for a bit. All of it really just ends up being in service of your detective skills. Not the characters, but you, the human being watching this. Pretty quickly on, you're going to unlock a few gadgets, which are the torch, aka flashlight for us Ameribruvs, which I don't know that I ever used. Second was a metal detector, which can find various goodies hidden throughout the world. Last was a late-game item called the Signal Redirector that did a bit of Metroidvania, as previously inaccessible areas were now able to be visited. On hard difficulty, the game mostly gives you just a spot on the map and some vague instructions on what to do there for a quest. If you get stuck or you're bored, you can change that at any time to just get a straight-up waypoint, but I kinda found it killed the fun for me. This game is clearly developed around this system, and it was one of the first I'd found myself having to take mental notes for in a while. And the biggest part of all of it are your choices. You can just straight up murk any NPC at any time, ending their quest line entirely if you'd like. You can choose to go in gun blazing on an objective and just piss off an entire settlement while you're there, or try and find ways to get them to like you so that you can walk into their base in the future without issue. At first, I was pure stealth, then I swapped over to a fair bit of violence before realizing how important currying favor was. Though, it wasn't nearly as deep as I thought, which I'll get to at the end. Instead of having to break into a prison camp, I did a job for the leader and was allowed to run of the place. I still use it to wreak havoc, and therein was that weakness, at least for me. I could kill hundreds of people in a particular faction, and it wouldn't change any hidden or otherwise unknowable standing. The only action that actually seemed to fully turn them against me was to straight up kill their leader. It broke the illusion a little bit, because otherwise Atomfall's really good of being bigger and grander feeling than it actually is in practice. Rebellion uses their in-house engine for the Sniper Elite games, and I gotta think that's what they're using here. The title's still cross-gen, releasing on Xbox One and PS4, and it looked pretty darn nice on my PC, running at a seemingly locked 120 FPS in 4K res. It's not the prettiest title early on, but some of the later areas look fantastic thanks to a radical shift in art design. On the Series X, the title looked and ran really well when it hadn't crashed. I don't mean 1 or 2, I had like 5 in a handful of hours while checking out that port. There's something odd as well with the series version because it's only 30 gigs large while the PC port is over 60. I have no idea if there's going to be a patch before launch, but here's hoping, as the game's auto system isn't quite enough to keep the frustration down on console. When it does work, and that was actually my entire time on PC, it's an enjoyable audio and visual experience. Music's pretty rare, mostly kicking in during combat. It's really just you, the sounds of nature, and the same handful of enemy voice lines for most of your playthrough. The voice acting during dialogue with NPCs is solid. There are no direct cutscenes, everything is in-game, with you having choices to make on how you choose to respond. Also, saving the game and straight up killing someone to see if they have anything useful on them is kind of a sneaky little way to know if their side quest might be worth doing. Often the item on their person is the thing they're going to end up handing over to you. Outside of the crashes I ran into on Xbox, I also had the game break on me twice, both at the very end. I won't say exactly what happened because it's pretty spoilery, but I went to trigger an ending and nothing happened. Also, a quick reload did fix it. The other time, when the game told me to go to an area for a quest, the NPC I needed wasn't there. They were actually way back where they normally are standing. I found them, triggered the event there, but then I had to walk all the way back to the quest marker originally that I had for things to actually work. Yeah. Wrapping things up, Atomfall is best when it's really hard. While I had a few issues with the story, my main concern right now is the crashing I experienced on Xbox. As long as that's okay at launch, then this one's an easy recommendation for those with patience, as it can be brutal, but it's oddly endearing, full of intrigue, and it's well worth downloading via Xbox Game Pass or just checking it out on your console of choice.